A lot of you may be asking why I've been gone for so long. Not to be condescending, but I'd like to provide you with a quick explanation. Okay, now that that's over with, we can actually move on to the video. So for today's video, we will be reviewing an anime called Neo Yokio. Now I'm sure a lot of you are wondering why an alpha male such as myself is reviewing an anime of all things. Let me explain. Out of hundreds of shows and manga, I'm only a fan of 3 animes. One which is a comedic parody of other animes, one that has phenomenal animation and writing, and one that's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. And every hint I ever made, but
we don't talk about that.
So why am I reviewing this anime in particular? Well, the main reason is obviously the lead voice actor, Jaden Smith.
I hurt myself today.
So yeah, Jaden Smith is responsible for this monstrosity. We all know at this point that Jaden Smith is a complete dork who desperately tries to be deep by tweeting a bunch of meaningless one-liners while capitalizing every fucking word. After the disaster which was After Earth, which was originally meant to solidify his career as an actor, it almost seems like he has nothing going for him as far as the filming industry is concerned. But in 2015, he teamed up with an American musician named Ezra Koenig, and they began working on the storyboard and script for Neo Yokio. They hired a few composers as well as 2 Japanese directors, and in 2017 the show was finally released to Netflix. It was so fucking bad that it got memed into absolute oblivion. Especially this photo of Jaden Smith's character holding Toblerone. What the fuck is Toblerone? Okay, so I looked this up. Basically, it's a brand of chocolate made in Switzerland, and apparently they actually manufacture some of their bars to be this size. Holy shit! You're gonna die from heart disease, you fucking psychopaths! You know they make candy small for a reason, right? Not just to lower manufacturing costs, but also so the customers can eat them in small, enjoyable bits without having so much that you get sick of the product. Now, you can say that me reviewing this show is akin to beating a dead horse, but,
we can prolong the pain.
Plus, I actually have a lot to say about the show. I mean, when the lead character of your anime is voiced by Jaden Smith of all people, how could I resist? So the show takes place in a city named Neo Yokio, and it's considered as the greatest city in the world for its cultural diversity, innovation, magic, and fashion. Part of the city is also located underwater, for some reason. Now I want you to compare my description to the clips I'm showing you in the background. What do you notice? If you haven't guessed it already, then the answer is it's fucking boring. If you read this description without seeing anything from the actual show, you'd probably think of something very interesting. Cool technology, art, and architecture, but we hardly get any of that in this show. It just looks like a normal late 20th century style city. The only aspect of the world that was slightly interesting was the underwater city, but we only get an inside look of that in the first episode, and even that felt underwhelming. You see, in other shows like Attack on Titan or Hellsing Ultimate, they make the scenario and world interesting. In Attack on Titan, you get amazing shots of the city and walls, the art style gives you an idea of what the culture of the people in the show is like, and the creators came up with unique ideas for technology that matched the time period. There's also interesting lore. In Hellsing Ultimate, the world and scenario centers around the conflict between the Hellsing organization, Nazis, and Catholics. They utilize the art style and animation to illustrate the dynamic between the 3. But when it comes to this show, it just looks like the real world. All the technology is uninteresting, the architecture is simple, and the diverse cultures barely impact the plot or even come up in the story. I just don't understand how none of the animators and writers considered the endless possibilities of the premise. My best guess is that it was due to a lack of talent or lack of effort, or both. The characters are fucking boring. None of them are unique in any way. In fact, they're all pretty generic. Oh look, it's another generic antagonist who's rivals with the protagonist for no apparent reason. Hey, what about the comedic reliefs? They were pretty hilarious. What about the 2 women who act as the cliche love interest, who just so happen to be voiced by the most obnoxious voice actors in existence?
Kaz, you don't understand. Something's changed in me since the exorcism.
Compared to yours.
Darling, you'd be surprised. I'm just a humble pop star from North Kakalaka. Kakalaka. I spend most nights alone with my cat Medusa.
They were my favorite. What is this robot? Why does he look like a transformer? Is it just here to mock other animes? I swear, he plays such an insignificant role that I forgot about him multiple times throughout the show. There's also a bunch of side characters, I don't give a shit. So I guess you're starting to see a fucking pattern here. All of these characters have the depth of a paper cut. There's nothing interesting about any of them, and none of them besides Jaden Smith have any character development. The only character that didn't bore me to death was Jaden Smith's character, but he was only entertaining for two reasons. One, because it's Jaden Smith in a shitty anime, and two, Jaden Smith is such a terrible voice actor that it comes off as hilarious. Which reminds me. The voice acting and dialogue are the two main reasons the show is so fucking bad.
But for now, the ivory tower awaits.
The voice acting ranges from incompetent to awful.
I'm blogger anymore.
Of course you are. Don't be hard on yourself just because you've taken a sabbatical.
Kaz, you don't understand. Something's changed in me since the exorcism.
Jaden Smith doesn't have any experience in voice acting as far as I know. I've seen him in other films and he's not that good of an actor either, so every scene he's in is unintentionally hilarious.
I am not Neo Reach.
Perfect. I think some of the worst of it comes from the love interests. The voice actors for them are so fucking loud and obnoxious that it makes me want to put a bullet through my skull.
I'm done searching for meaning in the aesthetic cycles of commodities.
Maybe some of it was intentional, but even if it was, what's the point? It isn't funny.
Surprised. I'm just a humble pop star from North Kakalaka. I spend most nights alone with my cat Medusa.
Why does she sound like an opera singer when she sings, but when she talks she has a really southern accent? Is it supposed to be funny? The dialogue doesn't help either, mostly because of the fact that the show follows the beloved tell don't show rule, which means when a character is feeling a certain emotion, instead of implying that they're feeling that emotion, they just explain it.
Your watch is fixed. I picked it up this afternoon.
It's been 3 weeks, and I still can't believe she's really gone. My one true love is now living the glamorous life of an investment banker in San Francisco, while I remain in Neo Yokio, haunted by her memory. In happier times, I watched her play on this very court. No doubt she's found a new tennis club by now.
Tonight's the big field hockey match against the East Side Gentlemen. And you out here looking like a pound puppy.
Sorry, guys, but I can barely navigate the hellish vortex between breakfast and dinner, let alone the labyrinth of the field hockey field.
What are you saying, dog?
I'm saying that I'm not playing in tonight's field hockey championship.
But the whole season's been building up to this match. Yo, we gotta teach his old money fuckboys a lesson. You can't give Archangelo the satisfaction, B.
Win, lose, we'll all be equal in the grave. I told you to clear my schedule. I'm grieving the death of a relationship.
I understand, but the reservation is in 15 minutes.
I'm simply too blue for lunch.
That's subtle. How about instead of explaining that, you show it. Have him just sitting there, saying nothing. Give the robot some dialogue. If you have to, give him some subtle lines that hint to his despair. Try to slightly imply what the conflict is. Make it a little bit of a mystery, you know? Then slowly explain it through natural lines of dialogue. That way the audience would be interested in what's going on, and it wouldn't feel forced. But since that requires effort, they just lazily have him give a huge exposition dump.
I told you to clear my schedule. I'm grieving the death of a relationship.
Great job.
Wollen Sie dieses Wertlose unter keinen Umständen dem rechtmäßigen Besitzer zurückgeben?
Okay, so the animation isn't awful, it's serviceable, but to be less generous, it's boring. The main problem I have with it is the style. Everything looks really dull for some reason. I would even go as far to say that it doesn't have a style, because everything just looks so bland. Well, I guess they didn't really have much of a choice, since, like I said, the world and setting of the show is so boring. Another problem I have with it is that in a way it's kind of lazy. Most of the time the characters are just standing there while talking and there's barely any movement except for their mouth movement. I guess you can argue that this is a problem for most anime because animators are usually trying to save time and money. The thing is, I'm usually able to forgive it because most shows I watch have things like an immersive story with good characters and interesting dialogue. But since the show isn't willing to offer me any of those things, the animation quality just ends up being highlighted in its shittiness.
A GIF is usually two cartoon animals engaging in erotic acts.
So they're still animals.
Okay, so the characters are boring, the setting is boring, the voice acting is bad, but maybe there's some good action sequence. Nope!
Don't you know we're dying down here?
I'm so sorry, everybody.
If Jaden Smith wasn't a shitty actor, the action sequences would have bored me to fucking tears. How little of a shit do you give? First of all, I don't give a shit about any of these characters. Not only that, they're all Mary Sue's, so you never feel any tension. Second of all, again, the animation is dull. The animators don't put any effort into making the action sequences riveting or even the least bit entertaining. In One Punch Man, the animators work their asses off to make every frame as detailed and visually appealing as they can. They do close-ups, they move the camera around, they animate different shots and perspectives, the music is intense. And not only that, the characters are developed and there's actual weight to what's happening in the story. I've watched the show 3 times now and the scenes hold up every time.
でも手合わせって言ってもガチじゃないんだろ？
俺はそのつもりです。先生の本気を引き出せるよう全力でぶつかっていきます。お願いします。
Now, I'm not saying that I expect Neo Yokio to have animation that's as good as One Punch Man. What I'm saying is, if they gave themselves a few more years to work on this and actually put in effort, the show would have been more entertaining. And don't anyone fucking dare say that this had a low budget. Not only was this backed by multiple production companies, it was backed by Jaden Smith, who has a net worth of $8 million.
Almost heaven, West Virginia.
One thing that I noticed throughout the entire show is that it has a sense of self-awareness. They have really subtle hints where they're self-aware of how ridiculous the premise is. It also tries to sort of parody other animes by utilizing all of the cliche tropes, like the Megazord-looking guy, the energy ball, the cartoony moments, the nose-bleeding gag. Why is that even a thing in anime? Is it supposed to imply that they're getting a boner? Anyways, to get back to my original point, they try really hard to make this funny, but it just falls flat.
Good thing I brought my vape.
6.5 hours later.
The entire show isn't really consistent when it comes to the parody aspect. Sometimes it wants to be a parody and sometimes it wants to be a serious anime, even though it isn't because it sucks. I'm gonna compare this to One Punch Man again because the show is obviously very inspired by it. The entire premise of One Punch Man is to be a satirical parody which mocks other anime. It makes fun of all the cliche tropes like the long and unnecessary lines of dialogue, the bizarre concepts and character designs, and the ridiculous over-the-top action. It also gives comedy by joking about overpowered characters and all the flaws of being an overpowered character, which is also a critique of shows like Dragon Ball Z. I'm going to explain why One Punch Man works and why Neo Yokio doesn't. First of all, when One Punch Man makes fun of a trope, like for example the overly long and unnecessary lines of dialogue, it's funny because there's actual clever writing and build-up.
おそらく身体改造に失敗して脳に異常が発生したのでしょう。奴は全てを破壊し尽くしていきました。公園、学校、ビル群、俺の家、そして俺の家族の命までも。そこに偶然通りかかったのがクセーノ博士。クセーノ博士は街を襲った暴走サイボーグの強行を止めるため旅を続けている正義の科学者でした。そこで俺がクセーノ博士に頼み込み身体改造手術をしてもらったんです。
なるほど。
あれから4年の月日が経ち、19歳になった俺は悪を排除しながら町から町へと旅を続けていました。これまで倒した怪物や悪の組織は数知れず、そして1週間前、あの蚊の化け物が現れた時、俺は完全に油断していました。もはやあの暴走サイボーグ以外には負けるわけがないと思いました。俺もこれほど強くなれたら、埼玉先生、俺には倒さなければならない宿敵がいるんです。これは俺一人の戦いじゃない。しかし今は何としても巨悪を粉砕する強大な力が必要なのです。クセーノ博士は俺に。
バカ野郎！20時以内で完結にまとめやがれ！
In Neo Yokio, the jokes are unfunny and poorly executed.
You've designed yourself a beautiful grave, sir.
I'm gonna rest for a bit.
Okay, get it guys? Because he's depressed and he wants to kill himself. Isn't depression so funny? Now in One Punch Man, when it comes to being a parody, the humor is consistent throughout the entire show. In almost every single scene, they find a new way to mock other anime. The jokes are comprised of a variety of visual gags, character traits and motivations, action sequences, and even the plots of the episodes themselves. But while it is a parody, at the same time, it's a really good anime, because again, the characters have depth, the animation is brilliant, and the action sequences are intense and riveting. And there are memorable moments.
期待されてないのは俺が一番分かってるんだ。俺じゃ B 級で通用しない。俺がお前に勝てないなんてことはそれでもやるしかないんだ。勝てる勝てないじゃなく、ここで俺はお前に立ち向かわなくちゃいけないんだ。
自転車のお兄ちゃん、頑張れ！
Neo Yokio has none of these aspects. The humor is unfunny and inconsistent, and aside from that, there's nothing entertaining about the entire show, besides Jaden Smith's voice acting, which wasn't even intentional.
So how much for that heroin again?
Oh my god, the plot. Okay, so I've already explained the setting, but I haven't explained the scenario. So basically, demons exist, and sometimes they try to possess people and cause problems. And their population is heavily concentrated in the city for some reason, and there's a special group of pink-haired exorcists who have powers. Why is their hair pink? And their job is to fight the demons. You see why I did the plot last? Okay, so demons existing isn't really relevant because it doesn't impact the entire story much. In fact, most of the episodes they kind of forget about it and focus on Jaden Smith's personal conflicts. Oh boy, if you're immersed in the story already, then wait until you hear about Jaden Smith's personal antics. Okay, so basically, his girlfriend left him, and he's sad, and his depression has caused him to no longer care about anything, and in the rest of the story, he tries to find a girlfriend. Yes, I know, it's very interesting. Okay, so there's this one aspect of the plot that I really couldn't understand. For some reason, the society and characters in this show have a really strange obsession with clothing. Now, you might be asking, but Al, wouldn't an obsession with materialism give a sense of relatability? And to you, I would say, yes. It does. But that's not the issue. The issue is that these characters obsess over such specific and unimportant aspects of the clothes they wear that it becomes a conflict in the actual plot. Like sometimes they move away from the story and just focus on what he wants to wear.
And Lexi's free mixtape barely has 1,000 downloads. Sorry, was that too mean?
Nah, dog. This is your tux.
What about it?
It's not black.
Of course it is. It's as black as this espresso. Charles, run a diagnostic.
I'm afraid, sir, that your tuxedo is not black, but rather the darkest shade of midnight blue.
What am I gonna do?
Maybe no one will notice.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You'll be fine indoors.
This is a disaster. Sharp suit, Kaz. Just kidding. Wait, is that midnight blue? What, are you insane? It's called a black and white ball, you dummy. Huh.
Okay, it's just a really dark blue. Who gives a shit?
Sure. Black would have been the safe choice, but fortune favors the bold. A midnight blue tuxedo? What gives, Archangelo? I played you, Kaz. Midnight blue is the new wave, and I alone will take credit for it. You bastard.
How would that be like a trend? Whoa, bro, check out my magenta hoodie. It's pretty lit, huh? Nah, fam, my Gucci belt has like 4 holes. The fuck you got? 3 holes? Fucking basic bitch. Is this supposed to be funny? Are they trying to create some sort of message about society and how much we value currency and property over the people around us? Or is this just a critique of the upper class? Because if it is, it's honestly genius. Wow, you know what? I take back everything I said about the show. Its philosophy is just so groundbreaking. Like, fuck Death Note and Parasite. Who gives a shit about what's morally right and wrong or how we function as a society and species? What I'm really interested in is the discussion of how evil materialism is and how it's ruining our society, because that's never been done before. There's no time for gray areas. What's really important is that we circle jerk about a black and white discussion about how privileged rich people are, which totally isn't a cliche and definitely not hypocritical coming from a guy who was destined to be a rich celebrity the moment he came out of his father's penis. Sorry, I'm getting off topic again.
Maybe I don't truly hate public pools, but I just don't like them.
So in conclusion, this show is bad. It has nothing to offer, it's boring, the plot is a mess, the voice acting is awful, and the animation is drab. As I'm finishing this video, I'm still pondering over what the point of it was. Why was this made? My only reasonable assumption is that Jaden Smith just wanted to be in an anime. Over the years, he's come off to me as someone whose only concern is how to look cool. This isn't just displayed by his Twitter. When he acts in a movie or music video, he doesn't actually have a concern for being realistic or entertaining the audience. Neo Yokio is another example of this. This show only exists because of him. It's the equivalent of a 13-year-old making his own shitty superhero persona on DeviantArt. Now, do I think the show is completely hopeless? I wouldn't go that far. There were some rare occasions where it was kind of entertaining, besides the scenes of Jane Smith's voice acting. And the music, I'll say, it's pretty good. It's kind of disappointing because imagine how good this could have turned out. Like, for fuck's sake, it's Jane Smith in a shitty anime. Imagine how funny and ironic the show could have been if it didn't take itself so seriously. But no, unfortunately, we get this inconsistent pile of shit that has no idea what it wants to be. All in all, Jaden Smith might get out of his dumb phase and actually work to make shit that's entertaining, but for now I'm not too interested in anything he has to offer. And no, I'm not reviewing the Christmas special. Not only was that shit an hour and a half long, which is like the length of a feature-length film, it has the same problems as the first season. To conclude, the show is exactly what Jaden Smith is, a dead meme. Nothing more, nothing less. Thank you all for watching this video. I'm sorry for not uploading in a while. High school has been eating up a lot of my time, and the first time I tried editing this video I had to restart because the file got corrupted. I'm gonna try uploading more this summer by doing video game playthroughs and working on reviews for other movies like the Slender Man film, and I'll be doing a podcast with my friend Smacks the Knife where we discuss other films. So look forward to that. For next video, I'm probably going to be featuring a collage of some of the artwork I've gained from the good folks on Twitter. For this video, I'm just going to feature this one by my friend Rain. Make sure to go to the description and give him a follow on Twitter. Anyway, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you already haven't, and I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10.